Hey guys, Dr. Josh Axe here with Jordan Rubin. Welcome to Ancient Nutrition today. We've got a great broadcast today. We're going to be talking about the top 10 things that you may be using commonly in your kitchen or in your personal care cabinets. They're absolutely destroying your health today. So we're going to unlock some common myths about some things that you might even think are healthy, but definitely aren't healthy. And also, we'd like to start off here saying hey to all of you that are watching. And as we talk about every week, there are so many people who need to hear the information we're going to share today. So take a second right now and punch your share button, click your love button, help us spread the word on how to use food as medicine and recognize common ingredients that may in fact be destroying your health. So Jordan, we know today in the food industry and the personal product industry, there are a lot of additives, things that are in food products, that are in our lotions and makeups and shampoos that could in fact be damaging our livers, our kidneys, our organs. Talk to us about how prevalent these are today and really, how do these add up? Is it used at one time? Is it over a period of time? How do these affect our health?
Well, when it comes to these additives, and these are common ingredients, by the way, and when you buy personal care products or food, beverages as well, you'll see them listed. What really bothers me, Josh, is when you go out to eat. Yeah. When you are certainly visiting with friends, school lunches, and in one of these, they actually use as therapy in school, and it was mandatory. I'll tell a little story about that. So it's bad enough when you know they're in the product, but then you don't know what they do. I don't know if you've looked at common house cleaning products or even baby shampoo. There's not a single ingredient that I recognize without studying it. These chemicals can add up and contribute to what you call your total body burden. In fact, research by the Environmental Working Group shows that the average healthy person could have 50 to 100 chemical residues floating within their body, all from commonly approved substances. So we're going to talk to you today about what to look for in your food, beverage, skin and body care, even cleaning items, and try to choose better alternatives.
Yeah, so Jordan, we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about these toxic things that are causing health problems. And the first one here, artificial sweeteners. This is one of the most damaging. I'm going to talk about one. I'll have you fill in on the others. One of the most surprising ones is sucralose. And I can remember, Jordan, when I first started getting healthy, it was in high school, and this thing came on the market in a big way. And they started putting sucralose, and the name of it's Splendid everything. But sucralose in general is basically it's a compound. And Jordan, their marketing is so deceptive today. You look at it, it's saying it comes from real sugar, is what their marketing claim is. But attached to it is chlorine, and essentially you're getting large doses of chlorine when you're consuming sucralose. And this, I would say, is probably the most common artificial sweetener today in newer products, in protein powders, in meal replacements, in a lot of different products out there. So we know that sucralose, an artificial sweetener, is toxic to your cells, it's toxic to the gut. And there's actually a recent clinical study that found, actually two I want to mention, one that found that sucralose actually killed off beneficial microbes and probiotics in the gut, and was actually really hard on the digestive system is one of the big ones. In fact, it would actually contributed to intestinal permeability when you look at sucralose itself. So again, it's really, really hard on the digestive system. And Jordan, one of the most surprising studies, they did a study recently on if it affected blood sugar levels. And they actually have, for years, said sucralose, that it actually was good for diabetics. Well, what they found in one of the studies was it actually caused insulin spikes, so actually may not be good for diabetics at all. So we know artificial sweetener sucralose, it's a big myth that it's actually healthy for you. In fact, it's toxic to your gut and toxic to your pancreas and your blood sugar levels.
Well, aspartame is another common artificial sweetener, and this was the big one that really got attacked by natural health experts. I mentioned on a previous program, there's a doctor in my hometown in Florida that treated hundreds of patients for aspartame addiction. He said it was more difficult to break than nicotine, recreational drugs, than prescription medications, alcohol, etc. Aspartame can be really toxic to the brain. So we talk about sucralose for the gut, or negative for the gut, aspartame for the brain. You know, the original artificial sweetener was saccharin.
Oh, yeah.
And oddly enough, saccharin might have actually been a little bit better for you. It's sort of the lesser of two evils. It's weird. Growing up, my great aunt, I remember this, I would have strawberries at her house, and I'd say, this strawberry is so sweet. They made it a common practice to put some saccharin on fruit. Give me a break. Just get some good healthy fruit that tastes really good. So saccharin is probably slightly better, but they all cause the same issues. They will all cause an insulin spike, in my opinion.
Yep.
You're not saving calories. You're actually trying to trick your body, and you will not accomplish that heist, I promise you. And you know, there's even another one, acesulfame potassium, or acesulfame K, which is also used commonly in sports nutrition products.
Yeah, so these are artificial sweeteners. These are one of the top 10 common ingredients that are hiding in your foods today. And again, as Jordan and I mentioned, especially protein powders, especially meal replacements and fitness products and diet products. You're going to find a lot of these artificial sweeteners, especially the sucralose, the aspartame, are absolutely found in these. Some replacements you might consider. If you're looking for something that is no calorie, a green leaf stevia, true stevia, is a better option, but still you want to be careful and not do too much stevia, because your body is expecting something sweet and it's not getting sugar then. So it may in fact actually affect your blood sugar levels, whether you like it or not. And then the other thing is raw honey. It's Jordan and I's favorite natural sweetener, raw local honey. We also love fruit as sweeteners, real fruit like dates. Those are better options to go for than artificial sweeteners. And Jordan, there's a big myth that I remember Diet Coke, you know, people comparing regular Coke or Diet Coke or which will you gain more weight. Yeah, I saw one study where people gain more weight doing diet soda. So hey, if you're gonna diet, hey, instead just eat real food, get real ingredients, you're gonna be healthier for it. Jordan, let's talk about PEGs.
Right, polyethylene glycols are commonly found in your skincare. Now it'll usually say PEG dash and a number. But you had mentioned reading a study that polyethylene glycols can contribute to hormone disruption and even put you at greater risk of breast cancer. And these are very, very common in skin and body care products. In fact, there are over 1,000 items in skin and body care that are approved in the US that are banned in Europe, in the EU. 1,000. We're getting a little bit better, but this is really horrible. And I know a lot of people that eat really well, but they don't look at their skincare, their makeup, their hairspray, etc. You got to be very careful. When you put on your skin is almost more important than what you put inside your body.
Absolutely. And just a few resources, you know, look at your products. I would encourage you, go home, flip over that bottle of shampoo, that bottle of body lotion, whatever you're using, and look to see if some of these ingredients are in there we're going to talk about today. Things like polyethylene glycol. We're going to talk about actually a few others here with propylene glycol, DEA, parabens. All of these things are in your ingredients. Go to a website, it's called EWG, Environmental Working Group, and you can actually look to see how hazardous some of these compounds are for your health. And I also know this is a big reason why Jordan and myself love essential oils and making our own at-home body care products. Also, Jordan mentioned earlier, looking for things that are EcoCert. That's sort of the European version of certified organic, which actually has banned a lot more substances than we have here in the US. So look for body care products that are EcoCert, again, and look for products that have essential oils and have a smaller level of ingredient list are typically better options. The next one here, Jordan, is artificial colors. Now, Jordan, I don't know if I told you this, before I met you, I was actually writing an article on artificial colors, sweeteners, and I actually found a YouTube video where you were being interviewed on artificial sweeteners, additives, and how they actually affect ADHD levels in the body. It was an interview from years ago. So anyways, artificial colors, one of the biggest groups of people this really affects in a negative manner are children with autism and ADHD. And we know that these colors, actually, one of the big issues is it probably affects the gut barrier, that leaky gut, which can then circulate and then starts to affect the brain. And Jordan and I have both written and talked many times about this relation between the gut and the organs and the gut and the brain. And so really, if you want to help your children or yourself have a healthy brain, a healthy gut, you're going to want to completely eliminate artificial colors and food additives from your diet.
Absolutely, and artificial colors and flavors go hand in hand. So if it says artificial flavor and the artificial colors, it's hard to believe we actually buy this.
Yeah.
Some of them are Yellow Lake number 5, and I haven't delved into what all that means, but when you have colors and numbers in an ingredient in a food, run away, right? Because a good ingredient list would be something like this. Apples contains apple.
Yeah.
Not 50 ingredients. I used to say the eating rule number 2 was thou shalt not eat anything with over 100 ingredients.
There you go.
And you know,
That's
when you
good.
go to your grocery store bakery and you get those muffins that are supposed to be healthy and they print out the label and there's dozens of ingredients on there, there really isn't dozens of ingredients you could put in a muffin that would be food.
Yeah.
You just don't need dozens of ingredients, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Glyphosate's a big one. Glyphosate is the chemical found in the major pesticide that is used for, actually it's a herbicide, used on soy fields in America. You hear a lot about glyphosate when we talk about GMOs because glyphosate is the main ingredient or chemical in Roundup. And what's terrible is people talk about eating GMOs, but think about this. A lot of folks have their nice, beautiful yards, so they'll use Roundup because they don't want weeds.
Yeah.
Then you think about every municipality, so the medians in the highways. You think about neighborhoods. You think about parks at the local, city, county, and state level, and national parks. Almost every single one of those uses a glyphosate-based pesticide, herbicide, to keep the weeds away. And what that does is it destroys the soil. I believe the half-life of glyphosate is something ridiculous, like 33 years.
Wow.
Only half of it breaks down. Also, they use glyphosate to help the process of harvesting grains. So when they harvest grains, they thresh them, so to speak, and to keep them from being infested, they'll use glyphosate while they're sort of piled up. So you could be consuming wheat which is not genetically modified but still get glyphosate. And they are developing glyphosate testing for foods, but the way to avoid glyphosate is to consume organic foods, not consume conventional, particularly produce, and to avoid genetically modified foods, primarily soy, corn, various papayas, zucchini, alfalfa, canola, cottonseed, and beet sugar. There's some others, but that's the best way to begin to do it. Glyphosate is going to be the bane of our generation and really harming people, so we've got to get the glyphosate out of our bodies. You
know, Jordan, I was actually, I had an interviewer who was translating my book into French I just talked to last week, and he was telling me about all the things going on in France right now and them battling Monsanto and they've banned several of these substances. Actually, more of them are banned, Roundup in Europe and other areas of the world. But it was just sort of mind-blowing to think about how dangerous this is. And I don't, you remember the study, seeing it years ago, which was later retracted, where the rats were given glyphosate, growing tumors and things like that. But we know that this definitely has some potential carcinogenic side effects. The next one here is conventional.
Hang on, I got to ask you this. So what is eat dirt in French? Like, what's the title of the book?
Oh man, actually, it was actually, it was
2
something
words,
like,
buddy, come on.
No, I'm trying to remember the exact title of what he did. It was
sound
actually a little
awesome.
different. It was like Eat Dirty or something like that. Like, it was a little more, they're French. It was like, they tried to make it more provocative.
Right.
In what they did, but so I don't remember.
But you don't know the French word.
I'm going to have to ask him now. I don't remember it.
Stay tuned and ask for that, because this would have been really funny.
I'll find out here. Actually, he lives in, the interviewer lives in Bordeaux, and he's like, next time you're in France, come over. We'll,
absolutely.
So I'm like, absolutely. There we go. So conventional dairy, you notice we put a mix on here of different things, from things that are found in food, many things that are added into personal care products. But this is one we had to put on the board because it is one of the most damaging things to your overall health. I know that, Jordan, when I was growing up, I would get bronchitis every single winter in croup, for like 2 or 3 months. And one change completely and radically changed my respiratory health, and it was getting off of milk. And the issue with milk today, I know you've seen there's a study out of Spain that showed there's over different 20 medications in our conventional milk supply. Estradiol, different types of antibiotics, different types of growth hormones and medication. In fact, there's even a cholesterol medication in there, an antidepressant, anti-anxiety were found in our milk supply. And Jordan, you're one of the leading authorities in the world on this when it comes to organic dairy, fermented foods. Jordan owns almost 10,000 certified organic acres of land in Missouri and is a farmer himself. Jordan, talk to us about the truth about, is dairy, liquid gold, or is it white poison?
It's a great and provocative title. I'd also like that in French. Bottom line is this, folks. I could go through all of the reasons why dairy could be the perfect food when it is the right kind of dairy from the right animal, when it's pasture raised, when it's organic, not vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. However, let's stick to the point here. What Josh said is very, very critical, because a lot of us don't buy dairy products in our home that are conventional, but when we're out at friends, when we're eating at restaurants, one bite of non-organic cheese could give you 20 pharmaceutical residues, and you didn't even consume a single one. We do our best to avoid unnecessary use of pharmaceuticals, and you eat one bite of cheese, you have one sip of milk, you have one spoonful of yogurt. This is awful. And here's the worst part. Those chemicals are in your dairy due to what the animal is exposed to. So having a natural yogurt doesn't do it. It doesn't cut it. So you gotta be so careful here. I would absolutely recommend, if you won't consume organic dairy as a standard, don't consume any. If you're not willing to consume local, we like to go to a farmer's market, if not getting it from our own farm, but conventional dairy is absolutely devastating to your health for so many reasons, but today we're focused on common ingredients destroying your health. But conventional dairy, particularly low-fat or skim milk, has got multiple things in it that can be very damaging to your health. And I believe if you get off of conventional dairy, you'll see similar results to what Josh was talking about. Great improvements in your health, your skin, your gut, your upper respiratory system.
Jordan, maybe name your top 2 or 3 things that are in conventional dairy today that are really damaging to the body.
Absolutely. Well, here's one thing that you should know about. If you consume conventional dairy that is homogenized, homogenization produces an enzyme called xanthine oxidase. And xanthine oxidase may actually cause arterial damage that would lead to cardiovascular issues or even heart disease. So that's just one. And then when you pasteurize dairy and you fail to culture it, you are killing off, you're destroying an enzyme, alkaline phosphatase, which is responsible for calcium absorption. So what you're really doing is a double whammy. Then when you remove the fat, you're getting rid of everything good. So antibiotics, pesticide residues, pharmaceuticals, xanthine oxidase, growth hormone can be in a high percentage of dairy. So there are so many reasons not to consume conventional dairy. And now they're doing ultra heat treatment, which means it doesn't even need to be refrigerated. It's just rough on the body.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to move over here to our second half of things that are destroying our health. And you'll see here, number 6 is wheat flour. Now, we know that wheat flour is found in so many things. And Jordan, I remember growing up, my mom thought, hey, we were eating whole wheat bread as a family. We were doing fantastic. But the truth is, wheat flour, in certain cases, for some people, could be even worse than white flour. And we know that gluten's an issue. We know some of the different types of starches in there and issues. So Jordan, talk to us about some of the compounds or nutrients that are found in wheat that might really be damaging our health.
Well, here's something you should know, and I put wheat flour here specifically because there are products that say whole grain on the front, but when you see the words wheat flour on a product, it is not whole wheat. It is absolutely not whole wheat. You need to see stone ground whole wheat or whole wheat for it to be whole. When it says wheat flour, it is essentially unbleached or white flour. And then you see these grains that they have whole wheat, they have unbleached. It's all there to be deceptive. I agree with Josh. Whole wheat flour may not be good for some. We talked about the glyphosate that could be in it. There are certainly a lot of these negative ingredients can be in wheat bread, especially the kind that's so fluffy. I'd never consume that fluffy, great-looking, long-lasting bread because it's got all kinds of stuff in it. But straight-up wheat flour is low in nutrients, high in anti-nutrients, which makes it a double whammy. So the gluten actually combined with vitamins and minerals, leading to malabsorption, thyroid issues, adrenal issues, blood sugar spike. Bottom line, the words wheat flour should never be in a food you're consuming. And you know, we're talking about Thanksgiving coming up, and it's always frustrating because we either make stuffing from a sourdough spelt bread and it takes 5 hours, or you go buy a stuffing from a health food store, but there's none that have true whole grains. They're all wheat flour, and the average person says, oh, it's wheat flour. No, it's not. It's really akin to white flour, very devoid or bankrupt. So even if you're not on a super healthy diet, you should avoid wheat flour. Always look for whole grains. The word whole needs to be in front of each ingredient.
Yeah, you just brought up a topic that's very important to me, and it's stuffing. And
I wonder where you're going with that.
Yeah, my wife Chelsea makes the best stuffing. She does 2 types of stuffing over Thanksgiving. She does a paleo stuffing she makes from an almond flour mix, and then she does a sprouted blue corn stuffing that's awesome as well. So she does a corn stuffing, a paleo stuffing. That's what we've had the past 2 years. We've had these giant plates, and I've eaten them for like 2 weeks after. So it's
Chelsea, you might have some other guests over for this Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Nikki makes these stuffing muffins, and we do one that's savory, one with cranberry, and then, honey, you think you could do that this year? I know it takes a lot of work, but sorry anyway. Just wanted to
It
put
is
you on
probably
the
the most labor-intensive
thing. It is,
because
you're toasting the bread, you're breaking it up, you're mushing it around, you're buttering it, but it is awesome.
It is awesome.
I mean, if you're going to go grain, go stuffing, right?
Absolutely.
But not with wheat flour.
Not with wheat flour. Do almond flour, coconut flour, sprouted ancient grains, much better options there.
And you don't even really stuff a turkey with it, you just say it.
Yeah.
And you know what really gets me, you know what really bothers me is, Nikki comes from Kentucky, that doesn't bother me, but she calls it dressing, I call it stuffing, but you neither stuff nor dress a turkey with it, discuss. Anyway, it's all confusing to me. Stay tuned to our Thanksgiving show for more information.
Awesome. All right, guys, so we're going to jump in here.
Back on track.
Back on track. HVP here, Jordan. So let's talk about this.
That sounds like a type of virus, doesn't it?
Well, you know what? When I first saw this up here,
you thought we meant HPV.
That's what it made me think of. So talk about
this.
HVP.
Is hydrolyzed vegetable protein. Now, years ago, do you remember having the sort of mock ground meat? No, you see, you were in a conventional home. I was in the healthy home, so we would eat this soy-based meat, and it was called hydrolyzed vegetable protein. So what they did was they would take soy and they would enzymatically hydrolyze it or digest it, and it would create a lot of free glutamate, which is similar to MSG. HVP, they would do chili, anything that had ground beef, they would use HVP, and they still use it sometimes, although it is often referred to as hydrolyzed vegetable protein, autolyzed, etc. But if you see anything with hydrolyzed vegetable protein or even natural vegetable protein, avoid it. High in soy, likely genetically modified, very phytoestrogenic, just really not good for your health, and this could be an underlying factor in your thyroid issues, your adrenal issues, your gut issues. So anything that's HVP or hydrolyzed vegetable protein, and there's so many others we left off. Hydrogenated oils needed to be on this list, etc., but we only had time for 10. But HVP, say no.
Absolutely.
You won't miss a thing.
All right, so propylene glycol here, Jordan. This is a chemical that's found in loads of personal care products. We both know this. From toothpaste to deodorant to shampoo to body lotion. It is everywhere, and there are clinical studies showing specifically 2 major organs are affected by propylene glycol, and it's the liver and the kidneys. And so we know specifically with the liver, it's been known to cause liver toxicity. With the kidneys, increasing creatinine, and increasing those levels affecting the kidneys in the body. So again, propylene glycol, something you want to stay away from. As we talked about earlier, start using essential oils, start making your own personal care products. And these things are easy to make, Jordan. You know, it's not that hard to make your own at-home recipes, or there are so many companies today that are making certified organic shampoo, deodorant, body care products.
And what I love about essential oils, they provide a lot of what some of these chemicals do. They're there for consistency, they're there for preservation, but propylene glycol and PEGs, polyethylene glycol, you want to look for those. Even artificial colors are very popular in body care products, but definitely avoid these. Even in small amounts, they build up and cause issues. Here's a huge one, chlorine and chloramine. It was interesting. I've read about and known about the dangers of chlorine. You talked about sucralose, which is chlorinated sugar or sucrose. Chlorine can be devastating. I believe that people that swim in chlorinated pools are more prone to gut and skin issues. Don't you remember as a kid when you'd go into one of those community pools where they spike up the chlorine because people have accidents in the pool and you would literally burn after getting out of there.
Your skin especially, your
eyes. All kinds of things would burn coming out of that pool. It's absolutely horrible. Chlorine's a gas, and when you go to indoor pools, it's even worse. Chlorine is in your drinking water. It can be in the water where you're washing dishes. This is a big one, Josh. People say, well, I don't drink chlorinated water, but I wash my dishes. Well, what are you doing with hot water when you're washing your dishes? You're inhaling it. Inhaling chlorine is horrible. I used to talk about this all the time. When you shower, it's the perfect medium for getting chlorine in your system because it's a hot shower, the steam comes up, and you're inhaling chlorine gas. I remember reading an article that said 1 shower for 10 minutes of chlorinated water is the equivalent of 10 glasses of drinking chlorinated water. So you can use a filter, purify, but you got to get your shower under control. It's really, really important. Chlorine is bad, and I remember they got rid of chlorine in one of the local areas I lived in. I was all excited, and the chlorine filter wasn't necessary, but then they replaced it with chloramine, which is just as bad, if not worse. So you can ask your local municipality, do you use chlorine or chloramine?
Or bromine.
Some filters don't get rid of that, and bromine is found in water regardless of it even being added. But yes, chlorine and chloramine can be devastating to your gut, to your skin. They're gases that are highly toxic. They are absolutely, by every admission, a toxin, and every organization agrees.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jordan's saying, your biggest exposure is going to be drinking water for the most part. Aside from drinking water, it's going to be when you're swimming in a chlorinated pool. Jordan, one of the things I love today, obviously a saltwater pool is a better option. It's a different type of chlorine. It typically lessens the amount by about 70%. But there are some other great things today. People using ozone. I saw people using copper and silver actually in pools today. So there are some actually other options there in swimming if people have their own outdoor pool or home pool there as well. The last one here is fluoride. I mean, the ADA is getting absolutely hammered on this right now, the American Dental Association, because we're looking and finding that fluoride kills off beneficial microbes in the gut. That's one of the biggest things. I read a study multiple years ago finding that fluoride is really hard and it contributes to that condition, leaky gut. So fluoride, Jordan, anytime I'm using toothpaste, I'm going fluoride free because ultimately that's not what's preventing cavities. I mean, a much better option is doing something that has clay, baking soda, probiotics, essential oils.
Even calcium carbonate, minerals.
Yeah, much better options there when you're using at-home toothpaste. So again, fluoride, definitely toxic to the body in larger doses. Some of these things are naturally found in small amounts in the soil.
But it's fluorine, it's not fluoride. Fluoride is usually part of a chemical stream, sort of a waste stream. And they did a study that showed fluoride in water and fluoride in treatments gave you stronger bones, but it really can cause deformities because you're not meant to consume that much fluoride. So I said in the beginning I was going to tell you a story. My dad's a chiropractor and a naturopath, so I grew up, and I don't know about you, but when I was in elementary school, they would have fluoride treatments, I believe, every month. And so they would hand out, you probably remember it, this little fluoride treatment, and then little Jordy has to sit in the corner because I abstained from the fluoride treatment. And when you're a kid, it's sort of traumatizing, but every time they'd all come around, everyone would get their fluoride to help their teeth, and there's me sitting in the corner, and I would kind of get harassed a little bit. My parents did as well, but this mandatory fluoride treatment, it's not working. You need balanced minerals, but this is not the way to get it. You can get very important minerals, fat-soluble vitamins from your food, build strong bones and teeth. In fact, vitamin D and vitamin K. We talked about magnesium as well. D and K are powerful for teeth. Both of us admire the work of Weston A. Price.
Yep.
He found that by using high vitamin butter, by using high vitamin cod liver oil, organ meats, fermented foods, the natives, without brushing their teeth, no toothbrush, no mouthwash, no floss, no dental care, had perfect teeth. Virtually, he would even find in an entire village, not a single cavity. Not in a mouth, not in a tooth, but in a village. How awesome is that?
It's awesome. Sorry, Jordan, I can't help but laugh at this comment from Bianca. She said, what do you guys suggest then for a shower? Like a 10-minute shower, or what do you guys suggest? Sponge baths? Well, Bianca, we would recommend getting a filter for your house. And it is an investment. I know there's a great company online. It's called purewaterfreedom.com. So purewaterfreedom.com. They've got some great filters that can filter out fluoride, chlorine, all the other chemicals out there as well. So again, that's one that's cost effective, and it may cost
about $50, right? 40, 60 bucks?
Yeah, so for an at-home filter for your water, it's about $149. And this is a really high quality filter, but a shower filter is closer to $50.
Right, and you just unscrew yours and screw this on. It's very easy. And if you do take baths, sponge bath, do that all you want, but if you take baths, if you will fill the water ahead of time and make it as hot as you can, in about 20 minutes, the chlorine will dissipate. But don't be in the room when that's going on, because you're basically getting chlorine therapy or dystherapy or untherapy. But you can take a bath with chlorinated water, just let it dissipate. But on the shower, you really need, if you're on well water, you're not getting chlorine. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I grew up on, my grandparents had well water, and I loved the taste. You know, some people has a little bit of that sulfurish taste, and I actually loved it. So guys, as we're talking about here, we've been going through the 10 common ingredients that are destroying your health. We'll show you the full board here. You can see these are the things you want to get out, and there are many others, but these are some of the big ones. And take a minute right now, help us spread this message, because it is shocking how many people, Jordan, are still using artificial sweeteners. That's one that blows my mind. People that are doing conventional dairy all the time, wheat flour products, and these are things a lot of people still think are healthy. So help us bust that myth right now by punching the share button. Let's help spread that message. And if you want Jordan and I to continue to do this live broadcast, we love doing it. If you love us doing it as well, click the love button as well. And we'd love to hear from you. If there are certain chemicals and ingredients that you feel like we didn't put on the board that we should cover in the future, hey, let us know that right now. Jordan, any last thoughts here?
No, I think that this is a very important program. A lot of you are watching and you want to know how to lose weight. You want to know how to improve your thyroid, get rid of leaky gut. You want to improve your skin health, detoxify, etc. But there's nothing more important than stopping the source of toxicity. And so these items, whether you believe it, know it or not, are sneaking into your diet, into your personal care, into your children's diets, and it's time to break that cycle. Share this message, because it just may save somebody's life.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much. We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Hey, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.